My name is Tracy McLeod and I'm the recruitment manager at Sage. In terms of what you need to consider when you're recruiting, it's all about making sure that you get the right people into the right roles. So think about what do you want from that role. Look at that job description. What's the responsibilities? What's the duties? Then translate that into some form of job advert, making sure you communicate effectively in that job advert what you need that person to do, the type of behaviours, the types of skills. Think about the salary that you're going to offer that person as well. Make sure that salary goes on there and make sure that you put a closing date on that job advert as well. And finally, just think about where you want to advertise the role. So where do you think that type of person will work? Think about using the likes of the Job Centre, Job Centre Plus. It costs nothing. If it's an admin role, think about using read.co.uk, as it will only cost around about £90 per job advert. You need to follow a process. Make sure that the process that you follow is simple. What you need to do is when you've got the applicants coming in, if you can, acknowledge them in some way, shape or form and log them on a system so you know who's actually applied for the job. Think about the actual shortlisting criteria. So what you're going to assess those people on. What sort of qualities are you looking for on that CV? Think about the actual interviews. What's that interview process going to look like? What do you want it to be? Do you want it to be just an interview? Do you want it to be a presentation or some form of exercise as well? Write some interview questions. Make sure that the interview questions are a true reflection of what that actual job is. When you're doing the shortlisting criteria, it's really important that you do actually have a scoring system. So score is something in the region of 0 to 5. It's really important that you document that. So if anybody needs to look at it at a later date, they can do. And it's also a legal requirement as well. And when you're writing your interview questions, again, make sure they're an accurate reflection of what that job is. When you're doing the interviews, you need to think about setting the scene appropriately. Make sure you give candidates as much information as they possibly can about the job. Send them the job description, tell them what the process is going to be. When they come in for the interview, try and relax them. I know that's easier said than done in an interview situation, but try and make them feel at ease, and it means you get much more information out of them when you're interviewing. It's really important as well when you're interviewing that when you're asking the questions, if you don't get what you need, ask them for more information. Make sure you note down everything that's taken. It's an accurate reflection of that conversation. And also it's important to have one person there asking the questions and another person taking notes as well. Just means that you've got more than one person's opinion on that. And again, from a legal perspective, it is best practice. And finally, just one more point as well. When you've actually finished the interview, it's vitally important that you set a realistic expectation with that candidate. So what's going to be the next steps? Is there going to be a next stage of the process, or will you be making a decision with a certain date? And make sure you clarify what that date is. And it just makes the candidate feel that they know where they're going and when they're going to hear from you by. When the interviews are finished, look at your scoring criteria and look to see who's the top person from that scoring mechanism, and then look to make an offer. It might well be that you might want to not decline anybody else, because if this person wasn't to accept the offer, then you may want to go to maybe the person who was second and third in your process. So pick up the phone, great part of the process, and make that offer to them. Talk about the salary that's on offer, the terms and conditions, and establish if it's an acceptable offer. It may be not a great part that they might want to negotiate on salary. Be prepared for that. Then what you need to do is follow it up in writing if they verbally accept. So send them out 2 copies of an offer letter and also terms and conditions of employment. Make sure that they sign 1 copy and return that to you very, very quickly. What's also important is that you do any sort of checks on that person before they're actually due to start with you. So things such as reference checks. Try and get the details of 2 work-based references, one which was the previous employer, and make sure you send those references out and you get them back before the individual starts. Also think about if it's the type of organisation where a credit reference check or a criminal record check is required, make sure you do that before the individual starts as well. That can depend on whether people are maybe going to work with vulnerable individuals, children, that kind of thing. It's vitally important as well that when you get that credit reference check or that criminal record check back, that you do keep that on file for a period of time as well. And also, one thing that's vitally important, irrespective of the role, is that people are actually eligible to work in the UK. So they do actually have, if they're not a British national or an English national, that they do have a valid work permit. It's your responsibility as an employer to make sure that's the case. Otherwise, if you're employing somebody illegally, then the fine is down to you to deal with. Also, what you need to think about as well is the people who haven't been successful, make sure that they do get a letter to tell them why they haven't been successful, and if you can, offer them some feedback as to why you still want them to be an advocate of your organisation and recommend them to their friends. Lots of different places where people can get further information from. I think one thing it's vital to say is that everything that you do in a recruitment campaign has to be legally compliant. So everything from when you write your job description, your job advert, the way you advertise it, the offer that you send out, all has to be legally compliant. So it's definitely worth checking with websites such as Personnel Today, the ACAS, CIPD and the Home Office give you some really good information on what to do, and also provide some booklets as well that you can print out and use as a reference tool. In terms of the work permits, UK Home Office Border Agency will also give you all the information that you need in terms of work permits, who's eligible to work in the UK and who's not. The one person I couldn't live without was my little boy Connor, who's coming up to 5 years of age. He's my absolute world and I absolutely adore him, and I could not imagine a day without him.